Clean and Renewable Energy, Mr. Mohammed Zaid, Branch Counselor to IEEE Student Branch, teachers and my fellow batchmates. A very good afternoon to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. This is Abbas Syed Nuruddin. I'm serving as chairperson to IEEE MU. We are all here today on the occasion of World Environment Day. World Environment Day is celebrated annually on the 5th of June and is the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for the protection of the environment. Now, this year's World Environment Day would be a perfect time for us to discover how solar-powered energy benefits the environment. So, I would now like to invite Mr. Mohammed Zaid to introduce the speaker for today. Please, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, on the behalf of IEEE Students Branch, I welcome Dr. Jay Prakash. Just a brief biography of Sir. Dr. Jay Prakash is the Director Technical at National Institute of Solar Energy, that is NICE, located in Gurugram, India, and he is heading the solar photovoltaic activities. Sir has obtained his PhD in Electrical and Computer Engineering from the very prestigious NUS, that is National University of Singapore, for his work on solar cells and modules. Sir holds his MTech degree from another great institute of India, that is IT Bombay, in the area of energy science and engineering. Dr. Prakash has more than 15 years of experience in solar photovoltaic R&D. Prior to joining NICE, he was heading Silicon PV Module Technology Group at Solar Energy Research Institute in Singapore, National University of Singapore. We are very pleased to welcome Dr. Jay Prakash, and now what a good time that he is delivering his talk. We are here in a scorching heat. It's a apt time, I think, to talk about the environmental issues and World Environment Day. So I welcome you, sir. The Zakir Hussain College of Engineering and Technology and IEEE Student Branch welcomes you and is very grateful for your time. Over to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jay, for your nice introduction and very nice word about me. Yeah, and first of all, I would like to thank Prof. Rehan for inviting me on this occasion of World Environmental Day, and I greet first of all of you to for this occasion that this is the time to think that we should be doing something for environment so that we can protect it as it was given to us by our forefathers. So we should not spoil it and give it to the next generation as it was for us also. So maybe I can start showing my slide on the screen. If can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, we can see your slides.
Can you see those?
Yes, we can see them.
Okay, so so maybe without going further into the discussion, let's first start some discussion over solar energy and how it can decarbonize our energy sector. Maybe after that, after the talk, we can have more in a discussion mode so that we can discuss the different things. Maybe let me check if it is. Please let me know if there is any issue with the slides, if you do not get it rightly. Okay, so let's start from the very important topic of today's scenario, which is climate change, and this is why we celebrate this World Environment Day, because as everyone of us knows that now the climate is changing, and we have realized it now, and many of us may be feeling it now also. So much hot in you can see with the example, April month was the hottest in last few decades. So you can feel those things. So if we go a little bit on the data side, that what the data available, if we see the top slide, top left slide, the CO2 emission to the environment was around 20 ppm, which was constant, because Earth can replenish itself if we give it time, enough time, and if we do not overstress ourselves and the resources, then there is a possibility that Earth can do it, do the recovery by its own. So we need not to do anything. But what happened when the industrialized era started after 1950 or 1960? Then we start adding additional carbon dioxide to the environment, and you can see on the bottom left picture, if you see from 1960 to 2020, so CO2 in environment is keep on increasing, which is a major greenhouse gas. And if we compare all the greenhouse gas emission currently we are emitting, or the nature have it, is like most of it is like, or almost 65% is coming from our activities, which is we are using fossil fuel and different industrialized process are using those like a fuel, and we are emitting carbon dioxide to the environment. And this is also having an impact on temperature rise of overall temperature rise of the earth. You can see from the bottom right picture that if you compare it from 1880 to recently like 210, then we almost increased by 0.8 degree. And it is expected that it will further go up, because we haven't stopped this carbon emission to the environment, but in fact we are increasing it. And although now people are more aware of that what we are doing to the environment, but still our greediness for different values or different facilities is not allowing us to go back.
Slides, excuse me, sir. Slides are moving, Abbas. Can you?
You can't. Can you see my slide or not? The next slide.
We can see, sir, but your slides are not moving ahead.
Now you can see my next slide.
No, it is stuck up on the first slide, sir.
Oh, so maybe there is some issue with this because
are you using slideshow mode, or
yes,
I don't
using slideshow mode. That's
yeah, sir, don't use slideshow mode.
Okay, so maybe now you can see this thing, huh?
Yes, now we can see.
So maybe I can just go in this mode also, okay, right?
Yeah, this is fine, sir. We can see the slides.
It's smaller, but should be fine, right?
Yes.
So actually, I already explained on this slide the different pictures. So you can see the first picture is about the CO2 emission in like a few thousand years, which was almost constant because Earth can replenish itself. And then bottom picture is after 1960, after the industrialized era. And since then, you can see there's a dramatic increase. Almost we have doubled it. And then the carbon emission to the environment, which is mostly in the form of CO2, which is because of our activities, which we are doing on Earth, is related to fossil fuel burning for different industrial application. And also it has an adverse impact on the temperature rise, global temperature rise. And you can see on the right side bottom slide, bottom picture, that it is almost 0.8 degrees so far, but it will increase. Definitely it will increase, because our path to increase the CO2 emission is keep on going, and our energy consumption is expected to increase further. So if you want to save the planet, the best option is minimize our carbon dioxide emission. Of course, energy is one of the major driver right now. We cannot just say the food and shelter and then all those those primary need. The energy is one of the primary need for mankind nowadays. And without energy, you cannot even think of your life in a sustainable way, at least in the present scenario. So we have to go one hand in hand, that we need to use the energy, but we need to use the energy wisely, and keeping the fact in mind that at present almost 80% of our energy needs are met by fossil fuel based energy sources, either either coal or gas or similar components, and we need to reduce those needs. So although energy access, energy security, all those things are important, but climate change is even more important than all those issues. So first thing we need to do to minimize our carbon footprint is the consume less. I think we should all should be agree that saving energy is also like a generating energy, and also unnecessarily we should not waste the energy, and we can use the high efficient devices, and also minimize our energy usage pattern. So this is the first thing we have to do, or we have to do. The second thing is whatever energy we use, let's not try to use the energy which is coming from fossil fuels. Or if you are using electricity, would recommend to not to use the grid electricity, or minimize the grid electricity usage, because most of the grid electricity nowadays is like coming from fossil fuel based coal or gas power plant. And of course, then if we can minimize our need, then we should move towards the solar energy or other renewable energy also, because they also are the clean energy sources. But today I will just discuss the solar energy aspects, that because solar energy itself has enough potential to cope up with all our needs. So this is one slide which can tell you that what kind of energy potential we have on Earth. So if you think of mankind's annual energy consumption, there's a small box you can see inside this big box. And if you see this large yellow color box, this is annual solar radiation on Earth. And this is not considering any ocean, any like a water bodies, all on the land. So you can see we have 3,000 times annual energy on the earth, whatever we all mankind on the earth, or all the people living on this earth are using. So, and then followed by the wind is also have significant like a potential. So if we go for renewable energy sources, I think slowly we can move out of these coal and other dirty sources of dirty sources of electricity. And how we can use solar energy, I think most of you are engineering students, so you knowing that you are knowing all these things, that how we can use solar energy. Just you can broadly divide into two parts. One is solar photovoltaic technology, which is nowadays is like the key for driving India's solar potential. And then solar thermal technology also, this is being used from like a few decades earlier, or even our forefather were using solar energy in this form only. Solar thermal technology they use is like a direct sun energy for various applications. And I will little bit describe that like how this development happened around the world in terms of technology, because nowadays this solar photovoltaic technology is very much promising. The cost is coming down, and you can see from this graph that this photovoltaic technology has the largest learning curve, which is more than 22%. So the cost has been dramatically reduced, and we are approaching the limit of cost of solar panel from the crystalline silicon technology, and then we are moving for new technology also. So technology is doing its job, and researcher like you and me and Prof, we are working on these devices to make it useful and with high efficiency and approachable, so that this is cost effective. And which I mentioned that every year efficiency of these devices are increasing, and then cost is reducing. So initially we started from the multi silicon solar cell, now to mono silicon solar cell, and per cell. Now we are moving towards heterojunction, interdigited back contact solar cell, passive contact solar cell. All these concepts are like our advancement in the technology, and increasing the efficiency with some incremental change, and then finally reducing the cost and reducing the area where we can generate our electricity. Then the next technology is also very much promising, which I think many researchers around the world are working on. which is not yet commercialized. This is by combining two solar cell on top of each other. So you can utilize a low band gap material, which is silicon on bottom and high band gap on top. So some of the part can be absorbed by the top material and then remaining the bottom. The top one can be perovskite, which is nowadays people are putting much effort to stabilize these devices, and by doing so we can reach efficiency of around 40%. This is the potential. Currently, in a module efficiency, we are around 22 to 23%, and solar cell efficiency around 26%. So in future, we may go still up, and this will keep on going. But then this is not the like a final solution. This is just a device which can convert solar light to electricity for using it for the different applications. Now the next one is the critical task: how to use these devices. So before going to that detail, let me give you a brief overview of India's energy scenario, electricity generation by capacity wise in India. So on left side you can see the numbers, which is with the installed capacity in India. Of course, the highest is with the thermal, coal and gas-based plant. It is 234 gigawatt, and then renewable also have a significant number. This data is 6 months old, November 2021. Now the numbers has been slightly up, and this renewable is around 150 gigawatt. And out of this, you can see on the right side, solar is 48 gigawatt, but now it's approaching 100, which is our target. Also, Indian government target is 100 gigawatt solar installation by 2022. So soon it will be crossing this limit by end of this year or early next year, in first quarter of next year, most probably. And as per a projection from the Niti Aayog, you can see if we talk about 2040, the energy need for the country is going to be increased significantly. And of course, we will be increasing solar PV from, for example, 2020 to 95 to 339, and wind as well. But in this slide, you can see a big problem is that our coal is going to increase. We are expecting this thing, which is not good, because the rate which we are emitting today is also not in in a sustainable mode. If we increase it further, we are going to be in a mode of catastrophic failure where we cannot return back. And even though after few decades, if we say we have reduced our carbon emission to zero, we cannot do anything, because Earth cannot replenish itself back to it. So we cannot allow this situation to happen. So whatever is mentioned in this slide, I hope this won't happen. The coal will should not go that much high, otherwise we will be having a big problem. So of course we can utilize solar energy to not to use coal and other fossil fuel based energy sources. So we can see four aspects. One is grid connected large scale centralized plant, which you might have heard about, like all these installation, the gigawatt scale installation are with the centralized plant, which are mostly situated in Rajasthan and Gujarat state, and several other states also contribute to this potential. And many private companies are doing this thing and can achieve very low levelized cost of electricity, which is even 2.2 to 2.3 rupees per unit of electricity from these plants. But there is one fundamental issue with using grid connected large scale centralized plant, that capacity utilization factor of these plant is hardly 20%. Means throughout the year they can generate electricity only 20% of the time, but our needs are continuous. So for the remaining time, for example night or evening or morning, we need to use coal based power plant or gas based power plant. So this will not allow. If we put more and more solar into grid, it won't allow to reduce our carbon footprint, because it is just helping us increasing our energy generation or adding up the plant capacity. But at the end of the day, we are still using those coal waste power plant or gas waste power plant, but our aim is to reduce those. Then it could be either with a storage, or we can also think of using distributed or decentralized generation, so that we can utilize the PV in terms of, say, for example, microgrid or like a off-grid mode, so that we are not dependent on grid. So this could be one best way. And then we can have some new and innovative solution to cope up of our need. For example, all our loads are distributed in nature. You have different applications. Unless it is a centralized industry, very big scale, large scale industry, they need large scale power connection. But all of us use electricity in a distributed way, because the population is distributed throughout the country. So solar is also distributed, the best to utilize in decentralized form. And we should also think of like not using for electricity for everything. We should use different form of energy. So we should make new solution, new innovation to cope up of our energy need, rather than utilizing electricity. For example, if you want to use hot water, there is a one way you utilize like a solar thermal water heating system, and you get hot water. There is another way, you just connect a water heating rod, which you can buy from market, 200 rupees, and connect it to your grid and do the same job. So you find it easier, but this is the worst application for the electricity which we are generating by utilizing those fossil fuels. And another application is the green hydrogen. I will come to that later, that how we can support in green hydrogen from the photovoltaic can support. So first part I am not discussing, so I will be mostly focused in my next 10 12 slide on last two things, like how we can innovatively use the energy at the local place, and how we can utilize the green hydrogen, why we need to go for green hydrogen, all these things. So first is solar power cold storage. Currently, you might have seen that there are big cold storage which are run from the grid electricity, and they are used, I think, in this Aligarh and nearby belt, Agra belt. You use these cold storage for potato storage. The very large scale storage, cold storage are available. This one can also be possible with utilizing your solar power. Recently, we made some solar power based cold storage. Of course, it's run with a PV. So what we do, this is complete off-grid unit with a 7 kilowatt of PV on top of a a container. It's a container-based solution, and this was prepared to store the vegetable and other the small things which farmer utilize, or they can be go as a waste if you do not properly store them for the short time storage. So this one can generate first the cooling. So PV is utilizing some power conditioning unit, and we use a cooling application, and then we finally use water as a storage. So we store the cool in a form of ice, and the remaining part, because this is this has to be run for 24/7. So one way is we can utilize the battery and use the electricity to store it, and then remaining time we can run this cold storage. But that is expensive and not also environmental friendly. So what we decided to go for, we will be cooling it in daytime, and store the ice as a coolant medium, and then by some heat exchanger we cool this container, and we can maintain it around 5 to 7 degrees depending upon need. So minimum temperature we can reach around 5 degrees because of the limitation of the water temperature, because we have the 0 degree, so we cannot, with some losses, we cannot go beyond that temperature. But still, this is sufficient if we can even keep it below 10 degree for storing this kind of vegetable. So this product doesn't use grid, so is a completely off-grid unit, and we should promote this kind of application because your need is cold storage. Either you take it from grid or you make it yourself. And we have installed these units around 19 units so far around the country, and one outside the country in Kenya. So this is these are the picture you can see at different places, and they are being utilized at several places. In some community center also they are being utilized. And recently we have put one in Kerala, which was being used for storing the vaccine at around 10 degree. Then NICE also developed this solar dryer cum space heating system for Ladakh region, Leh and Ladakh region. In Leh and Ladakh, temperature go very low, up to minus 15, minus 20 degree. And then we have a good sunshine. So this is a best favorable situation for solar photovoltaic, because solar photovoltaic panel love low temperature and high intensity, and with a less diffuse content. So all the conditions are available in Leh and Ladakh region. So this one we haven't used PV for power generation, but PV just only for running the pump and other setup. So this one we use solar thermal based collector, so thermal evacuated tube. So this one also we store the heat in form of phase changing material. We use the wax at around 100 degree, and we use it for either for space heating when in evening there is a need for keep your house warm, and also in daytime and or when the needed to dry your apricot. There is one of the major crop in Leh Ladakh is apricot, so we have designed to this to be used for this crop, and remaining time when crop is not there, they can utilize this for their for keeping their house warm. So this is also a 24/7 operation machine, and unlike we can use only when solar is there. So of course we have used phase changing material, which is wax, to keep it running for 24/7. Another application we recently installed is solar power water ATM. This has been installed by NICE in Faridpur village, which is around 60 kilometers from Gurgaon, and the population of this village is around 4,000, and the capacity of this RO plant is 30,000 liters per day, and it is supplying water to each and every habitant of this village. And initially we measured the TDS of this place was more than 2,000, which is definitely not a drinkable water. So we utilize this with a 30 kilowatt solar PV power plant, and it's also off grid. At present, we have utilized some small amount of battery here, but in future we are planning to remove the battery also, because battery unnecessarily make it costly. But still, the cost is not that much high for this. For the water coming out of this plant is around 0.5 rupees per liter, which is reasonable compared to the one if you buy the water bottle from a market, which is with the high purity. Its TDS is less than 100, which is definitely the drinkable quality, very good quality water. And also in NICE also we use two of such unit. One is 500 LPH and another is 100 LPH. And will NICE drink the water from these two like a water ATM only. And also few places in Delhi also we have installed this. Then this one we have recently installed in NICE to remove our air conditioning from the grid. Earlier we were having some split AC were connected directly to the grid, and of course we have some 700 kilowatt PV installed in the campus, and we are connected to grid through net metering. But our objective was not to go through the net metering. Somehow we should be self-sufficient to utilize the solar PV. So we are moving towards uh, averaging out our needs and less dependent on the grid. So this is one step ahead in this direction. So here we use 300 square feet space to cool the room, and also we can provide the heating also in the winter. So no need to have any heater, no need to have any AC in these rooms. So we provided the AC vent which is coming from this unit. This is a like a solar powered heat pump. Here also we do the same thing. From PV we supply the electricity through VFD, variable frequency drive, to this heat pump, and it can store the cooling in form of a thermal energy storage in a large tank which is 10,000 liter capacity. We are exploring the possibility of utilizing a underground this thermal energy storage tank, so that we can reduce the need of such large tank for this application. Of course, you can see the grid connection is available, but we haven't connected it to grid because we don't want to put any load from the grid. Our main objective is to somehow to detach it from the grid, and it should be self-sustainable without utilizing any grid. Only we utilize a small battery which is even less than 20 ampere hour with a 12 volt to run a pump when sun is not available during evening time or night time. So this pump can, the small fan can push the cool air to the roof. So this is our new product which we are working on, and hopefully in a couple of months we will have enough data to go for the next version of this product. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we should think of innovative way how to utilize PV, and how to maximize our dependence on solar rather than on the grid. So this is also one of the application we can utilize, which is agrivoltaic, which is the concept which many countries around the world are using nowadays. And by utilizing bifacial PV module, bifacial PV module are the one which you can generate electricity by providing incident light from both the sides. So as the name suggests, bifacial, so both the faces can generate electricity. So in the left side picture you can see this is the traditional way of installation of bifacial panel, where it can give you more energy compared to the standard panel. Even 20% more is also possible if you prepare the ground well, where the diffuse and reflected light can hit on the backside. But we are more interested in the other application, which is a vertical application of this panel. If you put this panel facing east-west, when the sun is on east side in the morning, then one panel can the front side of it can generate electricity, and then when in the afternoon when the sun is on other side, then the next side of it can generate electricity. So this is generating the electricity throughout the day, and also does not consume much of your land, because you can utilize this for various applications. For example, if you want to make a sound barrier which is next to your metro or railway track, or maybe around your fields or your balcony on your rooftop. So there could be like some application where you do not definitely consume the dedicated land for generating electricity. So these are the some of applications. We also installed this panel in nice with a 5 kilowatt bifacial in a vertical mode, and then 5 kilowatt bifacial at latitude, then 10 kilowatt at latitude with the monofacial, because we want to have a comparison. And so far the results are quite positive. Vertical is almost giving us 80% electricity of whatever we are generating from monofacial. But if we put or we prepare a ground with a little bit reflective material with almost average reflectivity of around 50%, then we can beat this monofacial. So the vertical generation is higher than monofacial if we prepare the ground well, which could be the case in terms of like when we use it as a sound barrier, for example, because there you can have a concrete on bottom when you use to install these panels. So this kind of application should be picking up in the country, and then you will have more. And in terms of agriculture also, you will utilize it, because nowadays this concept is also coming that you use the same land for power generation as well as for agriculture, provided that you do not affect your crop generation. There are some crop which need or which love the shading, which don't like the direct sunlight or like high intensity. So those crop can be utilized in such scenario. Now let's come to the hydrogen use, which you might also be hearing. The government already announced this hydrogen mission. Then why we are moving towards hydrogen? Anyway, start from the hydrogen use. Currently, our country use almost 6 million metric ton of hydrogen annually, which is amongst top 4 countries. So, of course, China is using almost 4 times than us, but all this is being used in an industrial sector. So, if we categorize sector-wise, the hydrogen is mainly used for fertilizer in form of ammonia, and then refinery, and some part in methanol for different processes. All is like a utilized in these sectors, and these sector we cannot avoid it. It's not like a we can use any other material for this or any other gas, but hydrogen is we have to use it, and it is expected that by next 7 or 8 years we will be doubling this hydrogen demand. So this is just hydrogen as a demand. It's not the electricity, not the other form of energy, but we have to utilize it. But the worst part of it is 95% of current hydrogen comes from fossil fuel based sources. You can see from the picture that most of it coming from either methane reforming process or the coal gasification. But the problem is if you produce the hydrogen by using these like a traditional method, it emit 9 to 10 kg of CO2 per kg of hydrogen generation. So you can imagine 10 kg, I mean 10 times carbon dioxide we produce if we use traditional method of this SMR, steam methane reforming process. And if you use this coal gasification, then also we use almost half of it, 5 kg CO2. So this is very dirty process. So until now, whatever we are have to use this 6 million metric ton. You can multiply it by 10. This much CO2 we are emitting without any without any thinking that what we should do. I mean, this is other than whatever we are generating electricity in different power plant, or we are burning coal at our home, or we are burning some wood at our home. So this is think some other way to use this hydrogen. So if you want to decarbonize our energy sector, this is also one of the aspects we have to attack. So green hydrogen, as the name suggests, there is no generally or universally agreed definition, but we can call it green hydrogen when we do not produce any carbon dioxide while generating green hydrogen. And I think all of you know that we can split the water into oxygen and hydrogen by electrolysis by providing some electricity and making some 2 different electrode with some catalyst. This is possible. And if we give this electricity from PV or wind or any renewable energy source, we can call it green hydrogen. So we have like a good opportunity to utilize solar PV, electricity from solar PV to use to generate this hydrogen in a green way, and providing all our need, providing the hydrogen to all our